Spotlight. Now we bring you a discussion on significance of India's emergence as a biomanufacturing hub. The participants are Shubhamoy Bhattacharjee, economic analyst, and D. Balanagendran, Akashvani correspondent.
The inauguration of Third Global Bio-India Manufacturing International Congregation and the statement made by the Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh has revealed the phenomenal fact of bio-manufacturing sector's growth in India for the past 9 years. To talk more about us, we have with us an expert filled with experience, Mr. Shubhamoy Bhattacharjee. Sir, welcome.
Thank you.
Sir, I would like to start from the basic. What are the components of biomanufacturing?
The biomanufacturing sector is actually one of the fastest growing economies of the world. Now, when we say biomanufacturing, what we're essentially saying is that manufacturing which takes into account production from using, say, molecules, atoms, largely from organic compounds. So when other manufacturing happens, say, so let's take an example. Supposing you're manufacturing an iron and steel product, that's an inorganic product. Whereas an organic product is what is basically the lifestone or the cornerstone of a bioengineering or a biosector. And that is where the biomanufacturing sector takes its name. So if you look at sectors like, it's not just pharmaceutical, it's production from plants, it's production of food, even food items, production of things which are good for production of even ethanol. There's huge number of things that all come as part of the biotechnology sector or the biomanufacturing sector. So that is where bioengineering, biomanufacturing, biotechnology, they all have a common source background.
Sir, the inauguration of Third Congregation in India, how this congregation is going to help us to boost further in the bioeconomic sector?
Recently, I was speaking and also listening to one of the technology summits that's happening in India. Now, what's the important, let's step back a bit before we get into the bioengineering issues and all that. What had happened is that when we had started out with liberalization in 1991, we had started out with the idea that we shall be a key economy where a lot of productive manufacturing ideas come in. But what didn't happen was that we did not put at that time adequate emphasis on development of technology, where what we largely did was copied from wherever technology was available and tried to use it to our best ability within India. So all the products that took place at the time, products which developed at the time, were largely what I might call technology collaborations and basically not at a very high level of collaboration. It was almost like what is referred to as screwdriver technology. Now, this was a gap that became more and more significant as the decades went by. Why so? Because when you look at any country, any major developed economy, any major advanced economy, one of the things that you realize is that they put a lot of emphasis on development of technology. It is the harnessing of technology, the harnessing of what I might call homegrown, copyrighted technology. It might even be, technology which is patented. That gives that country the decisive edge in addressing international competition. Now, what happened is that in India, due to various reasons, we did not adequately focus on this technological aspect. As a result of that, what we now find in this third decade of the 21st century is that there are lots of possibilities, but all of those possibilities that are, useful for us to harness are still dependent on us getting the right technology. And unfortunately, you cannot get the right technology by simply going out to buy the technology. You have to manufacture the technology. You have to develop the technology. That is where the significance of this particular summit comes in, that it is an idea that we need, just as in other sectors, in nuclear sector, in renewable sector, in sectors like even the traditional fossil fuel, in the sectors like space, defense. We similarly need to develop technology in this sector, the bioengineering sector, the biomanufacturing sector, that will stand us in good stead to be able to produce at scale which satisfies our market and then subsequently markets abroad.
Sir, while talking about the growth of the sector, there are some interesting facts. The sector is growing in double digits for the past 9 years. And also, when we compare the contribution of the sector to the GDP was $10 billion in 2014, but it is likely to touch $150 billion this year. And the government has a vision to touch $300 billion by 2030. Could you tell us what are the factors that are responsible for such a phenomenal growth for the past 9 years?
Well, one of the things that's happened is that the government of India, rightly so, has first of all not interfered too much in the growth of the sector. That has been a very phenomenal development. Why? Because when you do that, then what happens is you start to play what is called winners and losers. The government decides that this company would win or this technology is useful to me. That creates a problem. Let's give an example. We know we all went through the COVID pandemic. And the COVID pandemic, one of the things that was borne in upon us was that there was a huge range of biotechnology and technological products that was necessary. What the government did was, and rightly so, it encouraged companies to come up with their products to be able to create a vaccine or related products or to handle the pandemic. And we saw the result, that because it wasn't a government entity manufacturing these things, the results were there in the market at a very fast clip. Compared to many other countries, we were able to produce products at a scale which satisfied not only our local markets, huge necessity of vaccinating people, but also created in due time the surplus necessary to be able to handle the demands of countries in the what we call the South. That is the model that we have been consciously been adopting in the bio sector, in the bioengineering sector. And this is something which is actually spurring the development. So while there are lots of other associated factors, one of the things, and which I think is a crucial one, is the ability to stay away from intervention and allow for the development of the best technology, which can take on challenges of the market.
By providing some picture of the present, I would like to ask you to forecast, sir. As per the startups, it was just a 55 startups in 2014 in biotech sector, but now it is 6,000. So how would you forecast the sector's growth in terms of perfect competition in the economy should the sectoral contribution by the startups multiply?
You'd also need to not only see the growth of this sector, but also connect the development of this sector with what's happening in the rest of the economy. So, for instance, a sector which is not part of bio, but actually has a very strong linkage with the biological sector, which is that of petrochemicals. Petrochemicals is a totally inorganic sector, but that sector too is expected to rapidly climb up the value addition chain. And lots of products of petrochemicals actually provide the role of catalyst, the role of production, the fasteners for the biotechnological sector. Similarly, what you also see is the development of what is called the fintech sector, which is providing money at a scale and at a clip which is fast enough to make, as you pointed out about startups, the startups to be able to harness that money, to be able to get their interesting ideas to market at a clip which was not possible elsewhere, or rather was not possible earlier. And these provide what I should call the building blocks of development, which is actually standing India in good state. And as we are seeing the Indian economy expand and develop, it's quite on the cards that we shall be getting equally fast results in this sector and going ahead in other sectors, and together they'll form a virtuous cycle. Because remember, no sector really stands in isolation, and particularly sunrise sectors like biotechnology, where there's a lot of companies which will succeed, but there'll be even larger number of companies which will fail. Now, to make the possible both to happen, it is necessary that there is money available in the market for the experiments to happen. There is technology available in the market of a wide variety to choose from. There's the people available with the right amount of knowledge to be able to pick up on those technology, to be able to create interesting products that can actually address the needs of the people. And remember, the sector is also something which is very strongly environmentally friendly. So it is something which addresses the emerging challenge of the economy. Move products which are more in tune with what we call the green economy. Biotechnology fits the bill enormously. And therefore, there is a natural, what I should say, interest among the population to adopt these products, provided the products come up to scale.
So while talking about the production, in your previous response, you have mentioned about production and the producers. I would like to ask you about two important aspects which the Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh, has also mentioned. One is about the aroma mission, and another one is the purple revolution. For the benefit of our listeners, could you brief us, what do we mean by aroma mission and purple revolution?
It's actually very simple. Flowers, when we talk about the capacity, a flower gives off a nice scent, a nice aroma. And there is a huge market for those sort of products. Lavenders, for instance, products like any other flowers that comes along, which provide an enormous industry, which immediately our listeners would intuitively understand was something that we were not doing in, or we were not really getting in. At one stage, for instance, Kerala and Arunachal Pradesh were the places where the orchid revolution had taken off. And there was a lot of interest that has happened. And that's actually gone on to significant heights. So the aroma revolution is essentially about using aroma of the flowers or of plant-based products to produce products which are of immense significance, not just as perfume industry. There are huge number of applications that our listeners can just rattle off in a matter of minutes, which are used. The purple revolution is actually the same thing in a way. It takes off and picks up what you might call these horticulture products to create, again, items which are of immense use, but remember, which require a lot of technology, a lot of finance to be able to maintain their quality. And that is where you can't just simply say that, okay, I produce flowers or I produce a particular grade of seeds for them, and then therefore my work is done. It doesn't happen because that requires a huge amount of technology to ensure that that particular product is of the quality that consumer asks for when she is opening the package. Now that requires a lot of hand-holding, a lot of financial clout, and that can come only by, as they say, the government setting the direction, the government setting the overall framework of this, both the aroma revolution and the purple revolution. The final product has to be delivered by the producers.
So how do you see the future of India's contribution to the global bioeconomic sector when India adopts the cooperation and coordination from the Global Biofuel Alliance?
The Biofuels Alliance is a very significant alliance for India. Now let's look at it this way. The Indian interest in Biofuels Alliance comes from two factors. The essential technology for this Biofuels Alliance is that there is the idea that petrol and diesel, especially petrol, can be spiked with sugarcane or with corn products, essentially ethanol products, and up to 20%, which India has allowed. This is a huge game changer for a country like India. Why so? Because we spend about a massive, almost half of our foreign exchange. That's about more than $200 billion for the import of oil. A part of that can actually be saved, and the money that is there can actually be used to encourage farmers to move on to production of sugarcane. They're already doing so, but also corn and other, even rice husk and other things. This can be a huge positive factor for the farmers of India. So that means your production, every time a vehicle moves, it essentially is propelling, giving help or support to the Indian farmer. So it's a big thing. Recognizing the importance of this in the G20 presidency of India, we just concluded, the issue of Biofuels Alliance was figured and did figure very strongly. Now going on to Brazil, this is going to figure even more stronger because Brazil is the world's largest producer of biofuels and has a very strong interest in ensuring that the Biofuels Alliance globally takes shape and becomes a very significant player in the world markets. So for India, this is a very remarkable development, and that is what we shall be looking forward to.
Sir, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on significance of India's emergence as a biomanufacturing hub. The participants were Shubhamoy Bhattacharjee, economic analyst, and D. Balanagendran, Akashvani correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 928 909 4044.